Hello, my friends. Welcome back. We are looking to enhance the calculator project from the YByte Python curriculum available at www.ybyte.in. Now, when I look at the calculator program, the first thing that hits my eye is look at how we are placing all these buttons. Of course, we use the grid manager from Tkinter to do this, but we are placing every button individually. For example, 7, 8, 9, and then let's say the operators, then 4, 5, 6, and so on. Now, clearly, this looks like something that we could improve. This looks something that we can make more efficient. Let's see how we do this. Now, the question is, what is it that we are looking for? Like I said, we place the numbers, operators, and other buttons in an extremely repetitive manner. But then, can we replace this with some loops that can make the code more concise? However, there are really three challenges that I could think of. First thing first, notice all those buttons call different functions. For example, numbers call, let's say, press number, operators call press op, and so on. Even within the same function, these numbers call, let's say, a different argument with the lambda. So remember, we are using lambda statements here. We call the function with a different argument. Now, when I put this in a loop, for example, I must make sure that the argument to the lambda is, let's say, updated as the loop moves. We will see how that is done. And finally, all the buttons have a different row or column span. For example, some buttons like C and equal to have a column span of, let's say, 2 or row span of 2 respectively, depending on how you place the layout. So what this means is that we really need to balance, let's say, flexibility with code readability. Theoretically, we could make it all completely flexible. I mean, which means that we just specify, for example, let's say a high level layout of the buttons. We specify what is their, let's say, what is the function associated with them. We specify what is a row index, a row span, column span, and then we put a huge nested loop with a lot of if else conditions to take care of all the scenarios. That would work, but then ironically, that will, I think, make the code quite hard to read and also difficult to maintain. So we take a balanced approach here. We say, okay, let us group these things by functions and still create an efficient code, which still is quite useful. Now, this is just one way of, let's say, grouping it. Another way would be to say, okay, I'm going to group by rows or let's say columns. There are many ways of doing it, but I think a reasonable choice is to say, okay, we will group this by functions and then we will, let's say, go about them. So the way that I am going to do this in the next videos is that we are going to see, okay, look, there are 4 types of buttons for me. In fact, the ones that are very nice candidates for a for loop are, let's say, these buttons here, which are the numbers, and these operators. Now, I'm going to leave the C and the equal to alone for now because, placing one button is really not a big problem. Of course, like I said, it could have been done as part of a very big loop, taking care of all of this, but that's just going to add complications. So what we are going to do in the next video and beyond that is we'll see how we can place first the numbers, with, let's say, in a flexible manner, then the operators in a flexible manner, and then we'll see one example how we can use our code to come to a totally different layout. Now we are going to do this in the next few videos, but I thought it's good to sort of understand philosophy here and so that we know where we are going. If you think this way of learning, where we first build an activity and then we think of how we enhance it, how we make it better, if you think that's a very systematic way of learning that resonates with you, that makes it interesting, do look at our website www.ybyte.in, because that is how we learn Python programming. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye.